Hello and welcome, my dear friend. Not everyone was built to carry a sentence like this. Some souls collapse under prophecy, others become it. So before anything else is said, breathe. Not a shallow breath, a real one. Like you're letting oxygen into a place that's been shut for years, because this message doesn't ask for your attention. It requires your readiness. You didn't scroll into this. You were summoned. And the proof is in what your spirit is doing right now, before your mind has caught up. The heat in your chest, the hum behind your ribs. That's not emotion, that's recognition. Because something ancient is knocking from the inside out, and it's time to answer. So here it is, the sentence that doesn't come to correct you. It comes to complete you. I have stored myself inside of you. Let it land, not in your logic, in your marrow. Because this is not a metaphor, this is not poetry, this is an event. God didn't write that sentence in Scripture. He didn't shout it from the heavens. He whispered it into the softest part of your becoming. Because only the real you would know how to receive it. You've spent years chasing signs, looking for confirmation in clocks and clouds, begging the sky to show you what you've always carried. And now heaven says, you were never waiting on me. I've been waiting on you to remember. You thought the ache meant absence. You thought the pressure meant punishment. You thought the silence meant something was wrong. But the truth is, silence is where the sacred gets sealed. He didn't put your anointing on display. He stored it. And not in the stars, not in the voices of others, not in accolades or platforms or public praise. He hid it where no one could touch it, inside of you. And now you understand why you've been breaking down in rooms that feel too shallow. Why you can't fake interest in conversations that used to comfort you. Why your tears are coming from places you can't even explain. Because the part of you that's been locked up is finally being called by its real name. Not healer, not light worker, not empath. Those are labels people give when they see your echo. But this is the origin sound. You are not becoming powerful. You are remembering that you've always been the vessel. And that's why your body feels like it's shifting dimensions, why your senses are heightened, why sleep feels like ceremony and stillness feels like language. Because something hidden is awakening, not gently, but deliberately. God didn't store himself in you to make you comfortable. He did it to make you dangerous to darkness, to let your presence interrupt cycles, to let your words activate healing that therapy never could, to let your silence dismantle spiritual noise. You're not here to do something. You're here to become what hasn't been seen yet. And that's why the sentence had to come now, because you're finally still enough to hear it, finally cracked open enough to receive it, finally brave enough to release it. You've been mistaken for intense, difficult, too sensitive, too much, too different. But what people called excess was actually sacred compression, a whole kingdom folded into a single soul, waiting, yearning, vibrating just beneath your survival mechanisms. It's no wonder you felt exhausted. You've been carrying something that was never meant to be dormant, and now it's leaking. The oil, the insight, the instruction, not in sermons, but in breath, in glance, in presence. Because when God stores himself inside of someone, he doesn't need them to prove it. He lets their very existence become the confirmation. So listen closely. You are no longer just someone with potential. You are someone who's been encoded with a pattern, and that pattern is now being unlocked. That's why your nervous system is rebelling against the ordinary. Why your body aches for mystery. Why you find yourself crying in places that look peaceful but feel wrong. You've been mistaking spiritual labor for burnout. But this is not exhaustion. It's emergence. This is not fatigue. It's the weight of something holy stretching itself awake inside of you. And the reason nothing feels real anymore? Because you've stopped orbiting the world. and started remembering that you are the axis. This isn't spiritual ego. This is divine recollection. Chosen one, this is not the time to question your path. This is the moment to remember that you are the path. Because what God stored inside of you was not just for survival. It was strategy. He put the seed of solution in your skin. And now the world is dry enough to need it. So don't shrink, don't analyze, don't ask for permission. Breathe again. Now let's talk about the fire, not the kind others see, the kind that lives under your skin, quiet and relentless, like a second heartbeat. You've called it anxiety. You've blamed yourself for the intensity. You've wondered if maybe something is just off inside you. But the truth is, you've been hosting something heaven placed in a human container that's still adjusting to its voltage. That discomfort, it's not dysfunction. It's divine data trying to run on outdated systems. That's why you've been detaching, not out of bitterness, but because your soul finally realized some rooms were too small for your sentence. That's why your relationship started to shift. Because connection built on convenience can't hold a person built for consequence. See, when God stores himself inside of you, he doesn't just give you insight, he gives you impact. And impact doesn't come with applause. It comes with adjustment. It rearranges what you thought you needed. It dismantles what you used to chase. It makes you allergic to anything not aligned. You've probably noticed you can't fake it anymore. Can't pretend certain conversations still interest you. Can't play along with spiritual performances that sound right but feel wrong. Because you've seen too much, felt too deep, lost too many parts of yourself trying to be normal in environments that only celebrated what was manageable. But you weren't created to be managed. You were made to move things. That's why the silence lasted so long. It was God muting everything around you so you'd be forced to hear what's within you. And now, you're hearing it. That inner sound. That vibration you used to ignore because it didn't make sense in church or school or even prayer. It was the hidden chamber, the place trauma never touched, the part of you that didn't fracture when everything else broke. That's where he stored himself. And now, that chamber has opened. You've been mistaking the symptoms, the trembling, the dreams, the sudden rush of clarity followed by collapse. You thought you were falling apart. But this is what awakening looks like when it's not romanticized. Messy, lonely, blinding, and sacred. Because he didn't store a sermon inside you. He stored strategy. Not a platform, a pattern, not a performance, a pulse. And that pulse is syncing now with what's unfolding in the unseen. You're not just waking up, you're aligning. And alignment comes with loss. You're going to outgrow spaces that once felt like home. You'll love people you can't walk with anymore. You'll miss versions of yourself that were easier to carry, but too small to fulfill the call. Let it go. All of it. Let the image collapse. Let the plan burn. Because your anointing was never supposed to serve your ego. It's here to serve a generation. And they're not looking for perfection. They're looking for someone who's real enough to bleed and still bless. That's you. You are not the clean answer. You are the raw revelation. You are not the polished brand. You are the oil-soaked voice that doesn't flinch when truth costs everything, and it will cost everything. The version of you who needed to be liked, gone. The one who needed to be understood, buried. The you who used to wait for permission now speaks like someone who remembers the scroll. Because when God said, "I have stored myself inside of you," he wasn't flattering you. He was calling you out. You're not here to debate it. You're here to demonstrate it. And demonstration will require discomfort. Your comfort zone can't carry this mantle. Your old language can't name this version of you. So stop trying to explain. Stop asking small minds to recognize sacred blueprints. They weren't given the map. You were. Walk it. Even when it feels wild. Even when you want to quit. Even when every part of you aches for what used to be easy. Walk it anyway, because ease is not your assignment. Embodiment is. And you, my dear friend, you are now stepping into a kind of authority that doesn't make sense until it's felt. People won't understand why they shift when you speak, why your silence stings, why your presence unsettles everything they thought was true. It's not you, it's what's in you. And now that you know, you can't pretend not to. You can't shrink for safety. You can't silence what heaven just activated. This sentence doesn't just live in your bones now. It walks with you. It speaks through you. It transforms what it touches. This is your call. The prophecy has a face, and it's yours. Thank you so much for taking this journey with me. If this message resonated, please like, share it with someone who might benefit, and subscribe to stay connected. Continue your awakening journey by choosing one of the videos on your screen that resonates with you the most. See you there. Hello and welcome, my dear friend. You know, there's something even more sacred than love, and it's trust. Love is expansive. It finds you in your weakness. It surrounds you. It saves. But trust is intimate. It's personal. It says, I see what no one else sees, and I still place this in your hands. Not only do you trust God with all of you, but God trusts you. And that matters more than anything in this world. Even if no one around you ever sees it, even if no one ever claps, you know it. And that's enough. And deep down, you know this was never random. You weren't given a heavy life because you needed to be humbled. You were entrusted with weight because God already knew something about you that you hadn't fully remembered yet. He didn't just love you, He trusted you. Not with comfort, not with ease, but with spiritual assignments disguised as burdens. And here's the thing, you came out of all of it, with your integrity intact. You didn't just survive, you survived with softness, with a heart that still knows how to feel, and a soul that still knows how to stand. That's not normal, that's not common, that's sacred. The things you've had to carry, the things no one saw, no one helped you lift, no one could name, weren't accidents. They were evidence. Evidence that heaven considered your shoulders strong enough for what others would have dropped. Not because you were better, but because you were built differently. And the wild part, you didn't ask for this. You didn't ask for the insight, or the dreams, or the grief that shows up uninvited. The kind that doesn't belong to a moment, but feels like it belongs to generations. You didn't apply to be this kind of vessel. You were selected. So when people ask why you're different, why you pull back when the room gets loud, why your smile doesn't always mean ease, why you carry that strange mix of softness and steel in your eyes, it's because you've been entrusted with something sacred, and you've learned how to walk without dropping it. You don't need to be told how rare that is. You've lived it. Years of emotional restraint, spiritual isolation, learning how to be your own witness when the room goes silent. That's trust. Not the flashy kind, the eternal kind. Most people think being trusted by God looks like promotion, a title, a blessing, a public yes. But divine trust, it shows up in hidden endurance, in carrying things in your spirit that no one will applaud you for, until long after you've already made peace with not being seen. And yet, God saw it all. He saw every time you didn't retaliate, every time you prayed when it felt like nothing shifted, every time you could have collapsed but stayed quiet. Every time you let the fire burn inside you without letting it touch someone else. That's what trust looks like in the kingdom. You weren't just trusted to hold the weight, you were trusted to hold it well. Not by shutting down, not by hardening, but by staying close to him, even when you didn't understand why he was so quiet. That's a level of maturity no one teaches, but heaven counts it. Every time you forgave without a headline, every time you cried behind closed doors and still encouraged someone else, every time you gave peace when you had none left for yourself, you were qualifying for a reality you couldn't even see yet. And now it's shifting. Not because God suddenly sees you differently, but because you're finally starting to see yourself through his lens. You're realizing the weight wasn't just resistance, it was refinement. The way you've carried it all, without spectacle, without self-pity, without trading your softness for safety, that has made you into someone heaven can trust in any atmosphere. This next chapter isn't a gift. It's what happens when you've been trustworthy with the unseen. So here's the truth. God didn't just keep track of your faith. He kept track of your restraint, your self-control, your quiet obedience in rooms full of noise. He didn't just notice when you trusted him. He noticed when he could trust you. And that's what most people will never understand. They'll see the fruit, but they'll never know the roots. They'll admire your light, but they won't know how many nights you cried in the dark just to keep it lit. They'll think your calm is natural, but you'll know it was trained in fire, because heaven didn't hand this to you casually. This wasn't a gift. It was a spiritual assignment, wrapped in silence, wrapped in misunderstanding, wrapped in weight that would have crushed a different kind of soul. But you carried it with reverence, and God never forgot that. Here's what's unfolding now, and you don't need to chase it, prove it, or earn it. Because of how you've walked, because of how you've listened, because of how you've continued to show up even when it cost you. There are doors that are being opened for you without announcement, not because of your effort, but because of your consistency in private. This is where divine trust turns into divine transfer. And don't be surprised if the next chapter of your life feels like a room you weren't invited to. That's how it will start. But here's the truth. You weren't invited, you were sent. Not because you needed validation, but because God is placing you where trust is needed more than titles. Where your calm will steady leaders, where your words will activate healing, where your presence alone will expose lies. Because spiritual trust doesn't show up as applause, it shows up as a placement. You've already proven you can handle being overlooked. Now heaven's going to show you what happens when you're finally seen by the right ones. Not by the ones who need your energy but won't honor it. Not by the ones who only understand you when you're useful, but by the ones who recognize this one carries something holy and it's not for show. You're not being promoted, you're being revealed. There's a difference. Promotion suggests you went higher, but revelation means what was always there is now being seen. You've carried divine qualities for years. Compassion that breaks generational cycles, discernment sharp enough to protect without ever using a sword, patience that most wouldn't notice until it saves someone else's calling. You've carried it in silence. Now God is saying, it's time to move with the same authority, but without the same weight. Let me tell you something personal. The reason the warfare increased wasn't because you were going the wrong way. It was because the enemy recognized what you were carrying. He doesn't attack empty vessels. He attacks the ones carrying oil. And you were carrying more than you knew. But now you're no longer just carrying it. You're becoming it. This isn't just about surviving anymore, it's about stepping into your spiritual role. Not for attention or applause, but because heaven whispered, this one can be trusted with more. So what do you do now? You walk with it. You honor it. You speak from it, but only when necessary. You love with it, but without rescuing people who haven't asked. You protect it, not because it's fragile, but because it's rare. You don't need to justify the fire in your eyes, or the tears in your prayers, or the way your presence unsettles people still addicted to spiritual surface. You know why you're here, you know what you carry, and more importantly, God does too. So if you felt like you were being watched lately, if you've sensed something evaluating your spirit, your tone, your thoughts, you're not imagining it. You've been in a divine evaluation room, not to disqualify you, but to confirm that your private alignment is now strong enough for public trust. You've passed. It's already done. The shift is in motion, and you'll feel it through a peace that finally doesn't go away when the world starts shaking. That's what divine trust brings, not status, stability. God doesn't just love you. He entrusted you with things fragile people would have misused. He trusted you with a spirit that could have gone bitter, but chose reverence. He trusted you with silence, and you turned it into wisdom. Now, He's about to trust you with more. Thank you so much for taking this journey with me. If you found value in this message, please like the video and share it with others who might benefit. Don't forget to subscribe and continue your amazing journey by watching one of the videos showing on your screen that resonates with you the most. See you there. Hello and welcome, my dear friend. There is a moment in every chosen life where the story flips, not in private, but in full view of those who thought they had you figured out. And that's exactly where you are. You've been showing up quietly, doing the work no one even understands, carrying what others couldn't even name. And now, heaven has decided it's time the curtain comes up. This next season isn't about being hidden. It's about being announced. Not with ego, not with drama, but with undeniable evidence. Because while people were watching the surface, God was building something they could never predict underneath it. And now, the fruit is showing. This isn't just about reward. It's about redemption in real time. You didn't build your life in public. You built it in moments nobody saw. The nights you chose integrity over instant gain. The mornings you got up even when the grief made your bones feel like cement. The conversations you walked away from, not because you were scared, but because you knew you were made for more than cheap chaos. You've been faithful in the invisible, and now the visible is catching up. You didn't ask for a spotlight, but the light is coming anyway, because your obedience can no longer be ignored. There's a different kind of glow on a person who didn't rush to prove themselves. A weight, a calm, a frequency that says, I've already been approved somewhere higher. And that's what's confusing people now, because you didn't network your way into this. You didn't campaign for recognition. You didn't twist yourself into something more palatable. You just stayed true and stayed planted. And God saw every second of it. They saw someone average. God saw a vessel. They saw someone behind. God saw someone becoming. And now the two timelines, what people saw and what God knew, are about to collide in public. Your name is entering rooms you've never stepped into. And not because of visibility, because of credibility. Spiritual credibility, soul maturity, legacy-level resilience. You didn't get here by being charming, you got here by being chosen. And no algorithm can explain that. God isn't trying to pay you back. God is revealing what was never lost, just growing under pressure. This next breakthrough? It's not just a reward, it's a reveal. A reveal of everything you planted while people underestimated you. A reveal of every assignment you carried with no one cheering. A reveal of the substance behind your silence. Because people thought your silence was absence, but it was actually alignment. Now, everything that once looked still will begin to move, but not in a chaotic, rushed way, in a way that says, "This has been earned, and heaven agrees." You didn't manipulate your way here, so they can't explain how you made it. You didn't chase a platform, so they can't take credit for your rise. You didn't run ahead of divine timing, so the arrival will feel undeniable. Get ready for the strange reversal. People who once had power over your name will now have to watch it rise, without their permission. And you won't need to say a word, because the elevation will speak louder than anything you could post, prove, or explain. This is a public moment, but it's not for public approval. It's for God's demonstration. So take a breath. You're not late or behind. You're not being overlooked. You're being revealed. And when it happens, it'll be so clear that even those who didn't believe in you will wonder how they missed what was in front of them all along. Stay ready, because God is about to reward you in public. Not for attention, but as a sign. A sign that heaven has eyes. A sign that integrity is seen. A sign that you were always qualified. You were just waiting for the reveal, and now it begins. Let them talk, because they will. The moment heaven starts putting evidence behind your obedience, people start reaching for explanations that make them feel safe again. But the truth is, they can't explain this. Not because it's too mysterious, but because it was never theirs to recognize in the first place. God didn't loop them in. And now they're witnessing a rise they didn't co-sign. That's what unsettles them. Because while they were preoccupied measuring fruit, God was cultivating your roots. You weren't growing outward. You were growing downward. Getting steady, getting strong, getting undistracted. And now, that hidden system is producing visible evidence. Not because you strategized, but because you surrendered. You didn't hustle your way into this moment. You held your peace when it would have been easier to pop off. You gave when you were empty. You served when you were unseen. You loved people who didn't even think you were worth a proper goodbye. And through all of it, you stayed close to the whisper. So what's happening now? The whisper is becoming a wave. And the wave, it's carrying your name further than anything you could have forced by your own strength. This is the kind of reward that comes from soul integrity. Not perfection, alignment. Not presentation, substance. This next chapter isn't about being discovered. It's about being confirmed. Confirmed in the presence of people who quietly questioned your process. Confirmed without the need to clap back or prove them wrong. Confirmed in a way that even they have to say, "This has to be God," because it is. This is not a promotional moment, it's a prophetic one, and prophetic moments carry weight. Not just attention, weight. The kind that makes you walk different, think different, choose different. Because once you've been trusted with divine visibility, you stop seeking validation from temporary spaces. You no longer bend to be tolerated. You no longer over-explain what God already made clear. And here's what they don't understand. God didn't just trust you to survive the hidden season. He trusted you not to change in it. He trusted that you'd stay kind when bitterness came knocking, that you'd stay anchored when the current of comparison pulled strong, that you wouldn't sell your soul for quicker progress. And now, the reward isn't just access, it's authority. Not the kind that screams, the kind that speaks once and shifts the atmosphere, the kind that turns rooms you walk into altars. Because people can feel what you've carried, what you've endured, what you refuse to give up on, and no one has to understand it for it to be yours. This isn't a group vote, it's a divine verdict. You were approved where it mattered most, not in their conversations, but in God's decision. And the thing about God's decisions? They manifest publicly what He saw privately. So yes, this reward is going to be visible. It will be felt. Not just by you, but by everyone who watched your process and didn't think it would amount to anything. This is the kind of reward that answers questions you didn't even get to ask out loud. It answers, was it worth it? Did anyone see? Did God really tell me to stay when I wanted to run? Was that yes really for something? Yes. All of it. Every hard choice, every quiet act of faith, every sacred number, every soft heart you kept when the world said harden up. God saw it, and now God is saying, it's time they see it too. But not just for your vindication, for their inspiration, because someone else is watching, and they're wondering if integrity still matters, if purity still has a place, if walking slow with God is still worth it in a world that rewards speed over substance. And when they see you rise, they'll believe again. That's the reward too. You're not just being elevated, you're becoming evidence. That obedience opens doors no algorithm can. That spiritual alignment creates results no resume explains. That what you carry isn't hype, it's holy. So when you walk forward now, walk with the knowledge. You're not just being seen, you're being entrusted again. Not because you're louder, but because you're real. Not because you're perfect, but because you stayed. And heaven always honors those who stayed. Thank you so much for taking this journey with me. If this message resonated, please like, share it with someone who might benefit, and subscribe to stay connected. Continue your awakening journey by choosing one of the videos on your screen that resonates with you the most. See you there. Hello and welcome, my dear friend. See, you were never born to chase scraps, and deep down you always knew it. Even when you had nothing in your hands, you carried the feeling that more, invisibly but irreversibly, into your story. This isn't delusion. This is memory. Because before the world taught you how to survive by shrinking, God already planned for you to be sustained by being fully yourself. And now, the time has come. This isn't about hustle. This isn't about proving your worth. This is the moment where heaven begins to fund what it formed. Not the mask, not the imitation, but the real you, the one who chose the narrow road and stayed. You're not being rewarded because you played the game. You're being funded because you refused to. You walked away from platforms that wanted your talent but not your truth. You chose sacred over flashy. You stayed poor in ego but rich in alignment. And now the compensation is catching up. This isn't a check for your performance. It's a divine endorsement of your becoming. Because when God pays you, it's not hourly, it's heavenly. And the currency? Favor, position, ease where there used to be friction, doors where there used to be walls, anointing that creates access money can't even buy. They won't understand how you're walking into overflow without a formula, without a sponsor, without the grind culture blueprint. But you didn't skip steps. You held still when everything in you wanted to rush. You watched others speed ahead while your soul stayed in the shadows. You gave up chasing validation, and God wrote your name into an inheritance no algorithm could block. This is bigger than income. This is impact. And God is the only one who saw how much it cost to get here. The days you wanted to give up but didn't. The seasons you watched others get celebrated while you felt invisible. The years you carried weight in silence that would have crushed most people who pretend to have it all together. You didn't miss the moment. You were being built in a way that couldn't collapse later. It's like the way certain stars don't appear when you expect them to, not because they're not shining, but because they're behind layers of time and distance so vast, only the right conditions can reveal their light. You weren't invisible. You were just waiting for the atmosphere to catch up to your frequency. And now that it has, The glow is unmistakable. While people mistook your stillness for delay, God was forming a foundation strong enough to carry a flood of favor. You weren't just surviving lean seasons. You were learning how to breathe without begging, how to show up without pretending, how to move without needing applause. And now, you're about to be paid to exist as that version of you. Not the edited one, not the pleasing one, the aligned one. The one that's been through the fire and didn't come out bitter. The one who lost everything and still stayed kind. The one who didn't trade authenticity for attention, even when it felt like the only way to move forward. And here's the part no one teaches you. Heaven waits until you're whole enough to hold what won't break you. That's why it felt like nothing was coming. That's why the breakthrough delayed, even though you were faithful. It wasn't punishment, it was precision. God didn't want to give you wealth just for your hands. He wanted to give it to your soul. Wealth that feels like breathing instead of bargaining. Wealth that doesn't demand you become a version of yourself you can't sleep with at night. Wealth that whispers, "You're safe now." And that kind of wealth doesn't arrive early. It arrives right on time. Now something is shifting. You can feel it in the atmosphere, the tension before a wave breaks, the inhale before the exhale. It's not loud yet, but it's unmistakable. Because the reward that's coming isn't loud and dramatic, it's undeniable. And the moment it lands, you won't need to convince anyone of who you are. Your life will do the talking. Your rest will become the revelation. Your peace will become the proof. Because when God funds a life, it carries a glow that no marketing strategy can replicate. And that's what's next. The era of trying is ending. The era of receiving for who you really are is here. And when it starts arriving, it's not going to feel like payment for a service. It's going to feel like a cosmic recognition. A nod from heaven itself saying, "You didn't fold. You didn't morph. You stayed planted. Now watch the soil open." Because what's coming to you isn't just for bills or survival. It's wealth tied to identity, to truth, to purpose. It will feel strange at first, how ease begins to replace the tension you've lived with for years. How rooms start opening without you kicking the door down. How provision starts showing up before the pressure arrives. Not as a bribe, but as confirmation. Because for the longest time, you only knew how to perform for worth, to prove value through exhaustion, to earn love by being useful. But this chapter, it's about being seen without sacrifice, supported without begging, valued without shrinking. This is not the season of just enough. This is the arrival of more than enough. And not because you chased it, but because you became the kind of soul who could carry it without turning it into ego. You've been trusted with people's pain. Now you're being trusted with joy. You've been assigned to broken places. Now you're being called into beautiful ones. And no, not everyone will understand how it's happening. They'll look for strategy. They'll try to reverse engineer your steps. They'll ask you what app, what platform, what connection flipped the switch. But they won't find a formula. Because this blessing didn't come from method. It came from maintenance. You maintained faith. You maintained character when no one was looking. You didn't let the wilderness harden your heart or twist your values. And that is why it's flowing now. This wealth, it doesn't have strings. It doesn't come with manipulation or identity loss. It won't require you to shapeshift or perform, because it's not a wage, it's a reward, not a trade, a testament. And the proof is in how it feels. You don't feel frantic about it. You feel calm. You feel open. You feel rooted. And that calmness, that's a new frequency of receiving. Because receiving doesn't always come with fireworks. Sometimes it arrives with deep stillness, a knowing that the war has turned, that the long drought has finally given way to rivers that don't stop halfway. This is when heaven begins to sponsor your peace, your rest, your joy. You're not being paid to perform. You're being paid because of what you carry, because of who you are when no one is clapping, because of the light you protected in the darkest parts of your story. And now, that light is turning into overflow. Opportunities that feel like alignment, not obligation. Provision that feels like destiny, not debt. Surroundings that elevate your peace, not drain your life force. You're entering a season where ease and excellence walk together, where you're no longer the underdog because heaven doesn't see you as one. You're a pillar, not a project. You're a steward, not a struggler. And when people ask how it happened, you won't have a 5-step answer. You'll simply say, I stayed when it was hard. I walked when it didn't make sense. And I never let bitterness kill the promise. That's wealth. Wealth isn't just money in your hands. It's the peace in your spirit when everything's already taken care of. It's waking up without dread. It's knowing your name is aligned with something sacred and unstoppable. So stand up taller, speak slower, feel the gravity of the moment you're stepping into. You're not hustling for scraps. You're hosting abundance. You're not begging to be seen. You're being positioned to be honored. You're not surviving the page. You're stepping into the headline heaven already wrote for you. And you're not just being paid to exist. You're being celebrated for enduring without becoming bitter. You're being elevated for choosing the hard, quiet roads. You're being rewarded for loving when it felt like loss. So let it in, the wealth, the support, the recognition. Not because you need it to prove anything, but because God said it's time. And when heaven says it's time, even the gates you never thought would open swing wide. Thank you so much for taking this journey with me. If you found value in this message, please like the video and share it with others who might benefit. Don't forget to subscribe and continue your amazing journey by watching one of the videos showing on your screen that resonates with you the most. See you there. Hello and welcome, my dear friend. You've been shrinking to survive for so long, it almost started to feel natural. But something's shifting. The old space? It's starting to itch. Not because it's evil, but because it's too small, too quiet for the power rising inside you, too slow for the fire that's moving through your chest now. You're outgrowing things you used to call home, and they feel it. The ones who built their comfort around your they feel it. This message is for the ones who've been spiritually growing behind the scenes, but now the seams are breaking. The room can't hold you anymore. And it's not your ego talking. It's your frequency-breaking ceilings. You can't unknow what you now know. You can't fit in places your soul's already left. And you can't stay still in environments your energy is now too loud for. It started quietly. A discomfort here, a hesitation there, a voice inside whispering, "You're not supposed to be here anymore." At first, you ignored it. Thought maybe it was you being impatient again. Thought maybe you were being dramatic. But now, the walls feel like they're closing in. Conversations don't land. Rooms don't feel safe. Even laughter feels thinner than it used to. Not because you're broken, but because you're evolving. There comes a point in your journey where you're not just healing, you're breaking out. And when that moment comes, everything that once felt fine suddenly feels like chains. You're not crazy, you're not ungrateful, you're just becoming. And here's the part no one talks about. People can feel it before you say a word. They feel your absence, even while you're still physically present. Because energy always leaves first. Spirit always departs before feet ever take the first step. The people who once needed your softness now sense your boundaries. The ones who loved you when you were convenient now squirm around your calling. You've become too expensive for their comfort zones, too expansive for their expectations, and they feel you outgrowing them. You don't need to announce anything. Your silence says more now. Your posture has changed. Your gaze doesn't reach for approval anymore. You're not chasing. You're not explaining. You're simply becoming undeniable. And the world around you is adjusting to that reality. Some will cheer, some will distance, some will try to pull you back into roles that no longer fit. But don't be fooled by the emotional pull of old dynamics. When God starts stretching your spirit, anything that tries to confine you starts to feel suffocating. Even if it once felt like family, even if it once was love. Because here's the truth. Love can't keep you small, and real alignment won't ask you to dim. If you've felt uncomfortable lately, if things that used to fulfill you suddenly feel hollow, if you feel the urge to run but don't know where to go, it's not failure. It's a spiritual growth spurt. And those are never clean, never calm, never convenient. You're not being torn apart, you're being resized. And everything you're leaving behind, it served a version of you that doesn't exist anymore. They feel you outgrowing them, not because you said anything, but because your energy no longer contracts to fit their needs. And that's a beautiful, holy thing. You're not just stepping out of a situation. You're stepping out of a version of yourself that made survival look like success. For years, you were applauded for how well you endured, for how quiet you kept your needs, for how gracefully you tolerated being overlooked. But your soul never signed a long-term lease with that version of you. It was temporary housing, a sacred holding space, not your final form. You didn't betray anyone by shifting. You simply stopped betraying yourself. And now, everything that was built around your containment is starting to tremble. Not because you're shaking things on purpose, but because truth always rearranges the room. Some will say you changed, that you used to be so easy to be around, that you're becoming distant, harder to predict, more selfish. But they don't realize you were never easy. You were just quiet. You were just doing the spiritual math in your head, asking, is it worth it to stay small just so they're comfortable? And now you know the answer. You've given so much grace to people who only loved the version of you that didn't challenge them. That didn't ask for depth. That didn't require presence. That didn't reflect back their avoidance. But as you rise, your presence starts becoming a mirror. And mirrors make people uncomfortable, because they don't just show who you are, they reveal who they're refusing to become. Don't shrink to protect them from their own discomfort. Don't return to old rooms just because you know the way the furniture was arranged. You're not meant to be familiar anymore. You're meant to be free. The discomfort you're feeling, it's not a sign you're off track. It's confirmation that your old environment can no longer host your destiny. Even your body knows it. You feel tired after conversations that once gave you energy. You walk into old rooms and your chest tightens. You wake up in spaces that once felt safe, and you feel like you're in someone else's life. Because you are. You're living in the shadow of a story that already ended, but no one told you to close the book. So here's your permission. Close it. Let the chapter be sacred. Let the memories be holy. But don't force yourself to stay in a narrative just because you invested time in it. Your calling has moved, and your spirit is already halfway into the next place. That's why the air feels thin where you are. That's why things aren't flowing like they used to. That's why you feel unseen, even when you're surrounded. Because God is disrupting the illusion of comfort, so you don't confuse it with alignment. And here's the part they don't expect. You won't announce your exit. You won't make a scene. You'll simply stop dimming, and that will be loud enough. Some people only felt powerful because they kept you uncertain. They were never actually in control. They just knew you hadn't realized yours yet. But now you know, and they feel it. In your silence, in your presence, in the way you no longer give long explanations for your peace, in the way you no longer apologize for who you're becoming. You're not just outgrowing them, you're evolving past the entire dynamic. the unspoken contracts, the patterns, the roles you never agreed to, but somehow kept playing. And here's the divine truth. This was always the plan. You weren't meant to stay where you started. You weren't made to be tolerated. You were born to take up space, in love, in light, in purpose, in full clarity. And you're stepping into that now, whether they're ready or not. Yes, it might feel lonely at first. Yes, it might feel like you're walking through a hallway with no clear door. But don't panic in the pause. That silence you hear, that space you feel, that's not absence. That's God preparing the new room. You didn't miss your chance. You're just too aligned to fit into misalignment anymore. And the people who are meant to meet you in this next space, they won't ask you to explain your glow. They'll recognize it, because they carry the same one. So, walk forward. Not because you're proving anything, but because you're finally becoming everything you were never allowed to be before. Let them feel it. Let the walls shift. Let the rooms tremble. You're not leaving to hurt anyone. You're leaving to honor the size of your spirit. And that is the holiest kind of growth. Thank you so much for taking this journey with me. If this message resonated, please like, share it with someone who might benefit, and subscribe to stay connected. Continue your awakening journey by choosing one of the videos on your screen that resonates with you the most. See you there. Hello and welcome, my dear friend. The God who guided a bird to its nest, who orchestrated the precise spin of atoms to birth a star. That same God took your hand long before you knew you needed holding. And He's still holding it now. So if lately you felt something unfamiliar stirring, a strange sensitivity, a low hum beneath your peace, a pull you can't quite explain, it's not confusion. It's trust trying to make a home inside you. We're taught to believe trust is soft, passive, a fallback for when logic gives up. But that's not what's happening here. What you're sensing is not weakness, it's calibration. Your spirit is learning how to move with the current, not against it. Because control is exhausting when your soul already knows the direction. And right now, something in you is remembering that the most sacred form of strength is surrender. Not giving up, not checking out, but releasing the need to grip every step of the path when the one who wrote it is already walking beside you. It feels strange because you're used to striving. You're used to translating progress through exhaustion, measuring how far you've come by how much it's hurt. But something deeper is rising now, and it's not asking for your hustle, it's asking for your presence. That's why the things you used to force no longer move. Why the doors you've knocked on feel silent. Why even your own voice feels quieter than it used to. Because you've entered a different room. This is the part of the journey where the old tools stop working. Not because they were wrong, but because you're being taught a different rhythm. A new way of creating, a new way of choosing, a new way of listening. And that transition is not passive, it's powerful. You're not floating without direction. You're aligning with divine velocity. There's a reason your timing has been disrupted. A reason why plans shifted, why people disappeared, why opportunities came close but didn't quite land. It's not sabotage, it's redirection by a higher intelligence. And yes, sometimes that divine flow will confuse your logical mind. It will reroute your steps. It will take longer than you were told. But it will never take you somewhere you weren't designed to go. You've been feeling that, haven't you? That subtle ache in the soul that says, I know I'm not done here, but I don't know what's next either. You're right. You're not done. And the not knowing is not your enemy. It's the space where miracles build muscle. See, God isn't interested in just returning you to what you lost. He's rebuilding something in you that couldn't exist before the break, before the silence, before the pause. And you're not late. You're right on time for the version of life that actually fits you now. Let me offer you this. It's like learning to walk again, but underwater. Everything familiar feels slower, heavier. Even breathing takes intention. But eventually, your body adapts. And you realize the environment didn't change to punish you. It changed to strengthen parts of you that gravity could never reach. That's where you are now, building depth, learning breath, discovering that just because it's quiet doesn't mean it's stagnant. You're being held, not because you're fragile, but because you're valuable. And no, God hasn't changed his mind about you. You haven't disqualified yourself. You haven't missed it. You're not behind. You're in flow, and it's uncomfortable because your spirit was trained in resistance. But now you're being invited into partnership, to act with the wind, not against it, to pray not only with your words but with your posture, to create not from panic but from alignment. This is not you fading. This is you recalibrating to match the frequency of what's next. And the same God who formed galaxies from dust is still forming the next chapter inside of you. You know, it's not about waiting forever for some grand arrival. It's about recognizing that the shift has already begun. Maybe it wasn't loud. Maybe it didn't come with celebration or clarity. But if you pay attention, really pay attention, you'll realize some things already don't feel the same. The way you used to bend your tone just to sound more digestible, it doesn't come naturally anymore. The way you once scanned the room for signs of acceptance before speaking your truth, it feels like a strange costume now, one you forgot why you ever wore. Even the relationships you used to twist yourself to maintain, they feel too small, too strained. Not because you've become cold, but because you've become clear. And no, this doesn't mean it all feels comfortable. Transformation rarely announces itself with trumpets. Most of the time, it's quiet. It slips into your life like a new key on a familiar piano. And suddenly, nothing sounds the same anymore. You may still be in the same house, wearing the same clothes, clocking into the same job, but the inside of you knows. Something moved, and it won't let you pretend anymore. That's not restlessness, that's revelation. And it's not telling you to abandon your life, it's telling you to see it differently. To walk through your own days like someone who remembers, God is not finished here. With your story, with your gifts, with your healing, with your voice, you are not at the end. You are standing in the middle of holy redefinition. This is the part where nothing feels clear yet, but your roots are deeper than they've ever been. Because trust is no longer a word you say when you're scared. It's a posture you carry when nothing looks certain. And this kind of trust, it doesn't need to perform or impress. It just stays, present, aligned. God isn't rushing you. He's refining you. Not because you're broken, but because the blessing he's building through you requires a foundation that won't crack under pressure. You've been noticing it, haven't you? The way your tolerance for noise has dropped. The way you can sense energy without anyone saying a word. How silence no longer feels empty, just sacred. That's discernment, not burnout. That's your soul no longer being available for things that dilute its assignment. That's the spirit pulling you closer, away from the distractions that once kept you spinning, and into the steadiness of who you were always meant to be. It's not about striving harder. It's about staying present longer. Because you can't miss what's already marked for you, but you can miss the joy of walking with God through the becoming. And maybe that's the whole point, not to just arrive someday, but to live in such deep alignment that you can recognize the sacredness of now, even in the unfinished, even in the awkward middle, even when you're still cleaning up the last version of yourself while glimpsing the outline of who you're becoming. God is in all of it. The transition, the tension, the tenderness. He didn't step back while you waited. He leaned in, closer than your breath, more familiar than your doubt, more constant than the chaos. So no, you're not behind. You're not less spiritual because you still cry sometimes. You're right where you're supposed to be, in the middle of a divine build that's taking shape from the inside out. And you're doing better than you think. You didn't lose your momentum. You found your stillness. You didn't lose your passion. You just stopped pouring it into places that couldn't carry your calling. And most importantly, you didn't fall behind. You fell into alignment. And God isn't done with you, not even close. So keep walking, keep listening, keep breathing with intention, keep acting from alignment, not anxiety. Because the kind of life God is shaping for you doesn't require you to be perfect, just willing. Willing to stay open, willing to flow, willing to believe that maybe, just maybe, the same God who formed constellations and calmed storms is still writing your next sentence and smiling while he does it, because he knows this chapter will be the one that makes sense of all the others. And it starts right here, right now. Thank you so much for taking this journey with me. If you found value in this message, please like the video and share it with others who might benefit. Don't forget to subscribe and continue your amazing journey by watching one of the videos showing on your screen that resonates with you the most. See you there.